Hey guys, what's up? It's Crowded9 here with a video discussing Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, cards you should be picking up while you can because the prices are pretty cheap. This card is meta defining. It's gonna change our meta immensely. It's kind of like the mermaid of the format, but even better just because of how much utility it gives us going first and going second, and just how obscenely strong it really is. So let's go ahead and talk about cards you should be picking up. First one, obviously off the bat, is Dark Magician. You do need him to kind of, utilize Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. Pick up the art you like the most. I'm a big fan of the shonen one. All the arts are available. They're all relatively cheap except for the shonen one, which is about $30, I believe, for the secondary print. Now again, you don't really need to worry about which one you pick. They're all relatively cheap. You can get like an ulti version of this one for like $10 at most for first ed. So again, just pick up the one you like the most and roll with that. Same thing with Red Eyes, bit less in terms of printings, but we have the OG one, the LOB one I believe, and then the shonen one. I would stick away from the shonen one. It's averaging like $50. It's really expensive. So again, probably go for one of these two. You can get like an SDG structure deck Joey one for like $25 for first edit, I believe. They're relatively cheap. So next thing you want to pick up is Red Eyes Fusion. Pick up the commons, they're $1. I don't recommend the super rares. The OCG hit this card to 1 just because how strong it is, and it kind of gives you less incentive to play 2 bricks for 1 card, even though we're going to be using Anaconda primarily for this, which we're going to talk about in a second. Red Eyes Fusion, just pick it up. It's $1 while there is a lot of supply. Once this card officially comes out, once Dragoon officially comes out, there is higher demand to buy these cards. So you want to just go ahead and pick them up while you can. And again, spend your $3, get yourself a set. Even if you're not playing physically, you just want to have it in the back burner in case of anything. Red Eyes Insight, not every deck needs to play, but it's recommended to have a set for yourself. Again, it's only like $1.50 I believe for the lowest rarity or the reprint common. All you have to do is send a Red Eyes card or monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard and then add yourself the Red Eyes Fusion. That's kind of it. A lot of decks did play 3 and 3 in the OCG, because you do want to get it out all the time. I don't recommend this card, I just recommend having it in case. But also, if you're going to be playing Insight, pick yourself up a Wyvern. So you can go ahead and activate Red Eyes Insight, send the Wyvern, and then on end phase of your end phase, you can go ahead and banish this card and then special summon a, Red Eyes normal monster from your graveyard. This does eat up your normal summon technically for the turn, so you can't normal summon the turn you activate this, so keep that in mind. You can still special summon though. This is an engine that people do recommend, and I'm kind of iffy on it, but it makes sense. If your deck doesn't really need to normal summon, you can go ahead and throw in the Predaplant engine, which is 3 Scorpios or 1 and 2 Cobras, and then I would not add Red Eyes Fusion off of this actually. I would be adding Super Poly or Instant Fusion. Because again, Red Eyes Fusion will lock you out from normal and special summoning when you use it. So again, just make sure that when you activate the Predaplants, you are not adding Red Eyes Fusion, you're getting something like Super Polymerization. The reason why is because, again, we could just go into Anaconda and use Red Eyes Fusion from our deck. Literally perfectly fine. So something that we should be talking about is Verde Anaconda. This is about a $30 card as of right now in the TCG in terms of NA market. It is relatively expensive. If you didn't pick up your copy at $15 to $20 on release, pick it up now because this can easily turn into a $50 to $60 card because again, there is higher demand of it. Yes, it's only a one-of, but there is a lot of demand because almost every single deck would be running this card now. And some decks might be playing it at 3 because of extravagance, which you need to keep in mind. First part of the effect, you can target something on your opponent's field, make it a dark until the end of the turn, which is fantastic. There's super poly options there, and he's also a dark. And then secondly, you can go ahead and just activate a fusion or polymerization from your deck directly by using this card, which is great. So you can go ahead and activate Super Poly or Red Eyes Fusion by paying 2,000 life points. That's all you need to know. Really good card again. Primarily going to be using this for Red Eyes Fusion, but there are moments where Super Poly might come in more handy. So that is it in terms of what you should pick up for the Red Eyes Dragoon engine. Now let's talk about some counters really quickly. First one, obviously, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. If every deck in the format is going to be playing this card, why wouldn't you just main deck or side deck Cherries? That way you just snipe the Dragoon from your opponent's extra deck before they have a chance to activate it. That makes them have 2 dead cards in their deck, possibly 5, possibly 8. that is a lot of dead cards for just banishing this boy. Now Cherries is relatively cheap. She has like 52.5 different reprints. She's like $1 for a set, but still pick her up while you can. I would just go for the highest rarity ones, if the secret rares, if they're cheap for you. If not, just grab the ultra rares from Dupo or something, or Duvo. Forgot which set what it was. I'm gonna go ahead and clump all of these together: the Sphere Mode, the Lava Golem, and all of the Kaijus. Again, you just want to get rid of the Dragoon, and this is one way to do it without activating anything. You just drop it on your opponent's board, and they lose resources. It is usually a -1 for you because you're losing a card from your hand, but they're losing monsters. If you're going to be playing either of these, just make sure you're going against a combo deck or a deck that isn't just summoning one and passing. If you're going second, I would just recommend playing Kaijus instead. So I would recommend a Raiden and a Gameciel. Raiden because if you are playing Super Poly, you have that dark target available. You can also be playing late if you want to go when you're playing like Invoke or something. I would probably be playing 2, maybe 3 tops in my deck. Maybe 1 or 2 Gameciels and 1 Raiden, or the other way around, whichever one you prefer. But always make sure you have one that's a little bit higher and not all 3 like Gameciels, because you always want to beat over it in case you draw both. So again, clumped up into all that. I don't really see Sphere Mode making a return. I feel like normal summons are a little bit too powerful right now for a lot of decks. But otherwise, Lava Golem is an option. Again, does eat up your normal summon, but these do not. These just special summon. So Super Polymerization is something I would highly recommend you pick up. Dragoon is susceptible to a lot of cards. Starving Venom just requires 2 darks. Predaplant, a dark and a fusion. Predaplant, 3 dark monsters on the field. And then Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. Again, really strong. It's a dark monster. It is one of the most susceptible Super Poly targets in the game, and there's a lot of options. So again, just make sure you keep a set of like polys for yourself, whichever rarity. I think the cheapest one's like $2 or $3 right now, and then get yourself some of these targets. Again, relatively cheap. I think like this guy is like a couple bucks at most, but again, nothing too bad. So again, just pick these up. Moving on from the Super Poly, which again you can also activate through Anaconda. Triple Tactical Talents. I've been very iffy on this card, and I still am, just because you're always going to be losing 2 cards for the price of 1, if even that. Because now you have to bait out the Dragoon Negate and then activate the talents to take it. Like it's not good in my opinion, but it's an option that you need to know, because again, it has a change of heart effect that does not target. It just says take control of 1 monster. It doesn't say target 1 monster like Mind Control does. Again, it's a very expensive option. It's not the best option because you're losing resources to just make a play, but it's there. Next thing is Forbidden Droplet. Again, relatively expensive, good card, but I wouldn't recommend spending the 90, $80, whatever it might be right now, because again, we don't have a format really, and every day we're going down, we're waiting for another reprint of a lot of these cards. I would say hold off on Forbidden Droplet, pick yourself up a set of Dark Ruler No More instead. Dark Ruler No More is going to be a bit more useful because if your opponent doesn't just have Dragoon on the board, you're able to just wipe everything out for just 1 card. Sure, you might not be able to win that turn because they don't take any kind of life point damage, but you kill their resources, set up your own Dragoon, and then let your opponent have fun, right? So again, between these two, I would just go for Dark Ruler No More. If you do have the money, pick up Droplets. If you do have locals, pick up the Droplets if you have the finances for it. Next thing is Dimensional Barrier. If you're going first, you would just set this, activate it, call Fusion. Now your opponent cannot activate any way to get to Dragoon. This isn't always the best option, but if you're seeing them play like Invoke Dragoon or Synchro Dragoon, right, or something, right, you just lock them out from fusions, and that's really strong, and then they're kind of stuck, right? Like Invoke, they do nothing now, right? That's the whole thing. Like they just look at you like, what do I do now? Probably just Mech Knight beatdown or Dogmatica beatdown. And again, that's it. It's a very simple fix. Dimensional Barrier, again, relatively cheap, got reprinted, probably like $1, maybe $2 per copy. Pick them up while you can. The secrets, if you do have the availability for that. Next thing for main deck is going to be the Artifact package, which is going to be 1 Scythe and 3 Sanctums. You just stop your opponent from the extra deck, and obviously this is the extra deck. Very simple, nothing too complex on that one. Finally, some extra deck options you want to keep in mind. Borload, you can take your opponent's Dragoon if you can get up to him. That's the biggest problem though, is like you have to get up to these monsters. The benefit is that your opponent cannot target your Borload with monster effects. That's still really relevant these days. Boral Sword, you can just beat down the Dragoon if you have the ability to. Again, getting to these is the problem against Dragoon. The thing with Dragoon is that you're not just looking at one negate, you're looking at other things on the field as well. It's just an extra negate that's harder to get rid of. But again, these are options. If you do have the luxury of playing level 8s, or if you're playing triple tactical talents, and because Dragoon is a level 8, you can go ahead and just play, Dingirisu. So you can just overlay, make sure that your opponent doesn't get back to their Dragoon in any way, whether it's graveyard, field, or whatever, and you get to take up more resources from your opponent's board. The downside of this, you will need to be playing a level 8 in the deck, so just keep that in mind. A lot of decks do have that luxury, a lot of decks do not have that luxury. So again, that's kind of it. Just wanted to go ahead and throw this down for you guys. There's obviously a lot more cards that are like here and there. These are the more meta ones, I would say, besides maybe like, you know, the Predaplant small engine. But again, it's an option. If you don't need normal summons, it's a really good engine that does get you a lot of resources, mainly the Super Poly, into the Anaconda. So you have the protection, and you have a way to like play against your opponent in case they make their Dragoon or Super Poly your Dragoon, you just Super Poly it back. So guys, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm always happy to answer it. And I'll be having more deck lists coming up in about a week with some good variations that I've been coming up with for Dragoon and Invoke, and some other build as well. So thank you guys for watching. Take care, and if you have any other suggestions, let the other people know in the comment section down below. Thank you.